So the big news lately is, the big news is that Activision has dropped the Nickmercs bundle from Call of Duty. Nickmercs is a very popular streamer, first-person shooter player, big into Apex Legends and other games. Had a bundle added, with an operator skin and some guns and all that into Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2. This was dropped when after a tweet he made, basically. He was responding to Chris Puckett, who is an esports caster. Chris had posted this video of anti-LGBT protesters attacking pro-LGBT demonstrators outside of a California school board meeting. The school board was voting on whether to recognize June as Pride Month, and so there was protesters, counter-protesters, turned into this great big brawl, people violently attacking other people. It's really quite awful. Quite the breakdown of civil society, if you ask me. He said, "This happened 4 blocks from my Overwatch League apartment. Americans are in a sad place right now. Let people love who they love and live your own life." And then Nickmercs responded, "They should leave little children alone. That's the real issue." And now this turned into a really big deal, partly because saying, once you think of the children, when it comes to this issue, sounds like a right-wing dog whistle. Partly because people took it as him being super homophobic. He's responded since then saying, "I just don't think school is any place for a teacher or a school. I don't think it's the place to speak about things like that. It's not that I think it shouldn't be spoken about. If that's what you got from that tweet, then you're just wrong. I don't have any quarrel with anybody in here. I don't have any quarrel with people on the internet. It wasn't an gay tweet. That wasn't what it was. If you think that I hate you because you're a certain way, you couldn't be any more wrong. I want to be the one, and my wife wants to be the one, to speak with our child about stuff like that." And that was the tweet. I didn't mean to upset anybody. I know that I did. I'm not apologizing about the tweet because I don't feel like it's wrong. I'm going to stand by what I said. So he's kind of waded into this. I feel like he's waded into a debate that he wasn't fully prepared for, both in terms of like what the response would be, but also like what side this kind of tweet puts him on, whether he means it or not. Now, reading what he said, I don't think he's homophobic. I don't know him, so I can't say whether or not, but judging by what he said, I don't think he's being homophobic. I think he's genuinely saying, I think that these issues are something that I want to talk about with my kids at home. I don't want some random teacher teaching this stuff to my kid. And he's just a new dad, so I understand there's a lot of fear that goes into that. But, also, what about, the children of gay parents? What about gay kids? What about, should we just pretend like gay doesn't exist when we're at school? School being like one of the most important places that a child goes their entire life. They're going to learn, first of all, they're going to learn more from their friends than they're going to learn at school or from their parents in a lot of ways. They're going to be, so how, the climate that you create at these schools is super important. Like, are you creating a climate where it's safe and okay that you come from a gay family, or are you creating a climate where you have to hush hush and don't say gay, right? So I being on the left, believe very much that it's okay to celebrate Pride Month at a school, that it's good to create a climate where it's safe to be a gay kid or have gay parents or whatever, and where it's okay to be a gay teacher and to not hide the fact from your kids and from parents. And I think that people who are saying things like, "Oh no, we can't have any of that," I think that's homophobic. Now, on the other hand, do I think that sometimes this stuff gets taken too far? Are there instances where we've seen it taken too far? Especially with the gender affirmation stuff or like abstract gender theory at very young ages, before it's really appropriate to teach that kind of thing? I think so, yes. And I think that's fueled a lot of this sort of anti-LGBT stuff on the right. And I think that's unfortunate. That's an unfortunate side effect of taking things too far on the left. I don't think it's as easy as just saying, leave the children alone. I mean, because some of the children are gay, because some of the children are from gay families, because some of the children are different. I mean, what we're trying to do, I think one of the projects of the left that I believe in is creating a world where we aren't so afraid of the other, whether the other is a, conservative Christian or an immigrant or a gay person or a racial minority or a weirdo or whatever. We're not so afraid of the other, and we teach people to be accepting and loving and kind. And where we create in our public spaces safe, it doesn't have to be safe in the idea of like we need a safe space. I also believe in like in free speech, right? And I think these things actually go together quite well, much better than creating safe places where you're not allowed to say things that are offensive. I think we should have, I don't believe in banning books from schools. I think that we take our censorship at the school level very, 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 very much too far. And so I'm personally like very much like radical freedoms, right? But freedoms aren't that simple. I think this subject in general is a collision of rights or a collision of freedoms where we find that being free isn't just being free. Our freedoms, our rights come into conflict with the rights and freedoms of other groups. So the conservative Christians' rights to teach their children about these things their way come into conflict with the rights of the gay parents who also want to be able to have their child in the public school. And so you have these conflicting rights. You can say one's wrong, one's right based on your beliefs, but the fact of the matter is that in a democracy and in a public place and in these sort of difficult situations where, like in schools, it's not so simple as just the right, as your rights, because your rights may come into some kind of conflict with somebody else's. And our job as a society and our leaders' job as politicians and school board directors and all the rest, their job is to find a peaceful, amicable solution that works for everybody to some degree. Not everyone's going to be happy, obviously, but that's the job of this messy business of society and of government and of getting along with each other. And you can see in this video where these people are attacking other people on the street over this subject. That's the breakdown of society. That's the breakdown of and the breakdown of society in whatever form it takes is worrisome, right? And again, this goes back to freedom. Like, okay, like the tent cities you see in a lot of cities, right? These parks flooded over with tents. Okay, is it the freedom? Is it the right of the homeless people living in those tents to have those tent cities, or is it the right of the rest of the public to have parks free of tents that are safe for their children to go and play in? Now, I have my personal view on that, which is that we need to find actual permanent housing for homeless people, and that tent cities should not be allowed. But other people may disagree, and we get into this other, this collision of rights, this collision of, who's right to what, and that's what we have to work out. Should Call of Duty have removed the Nickmercs bundle? I think that they should have just let it blow over. It just doesn't seem like even though his comment, a lot of people are upset by it, I think it seems obvious that he didn't mean it. He wasn't meaning it that way. Removing the bundle adds so much more publicity to something like this that doesn't really need to have it. You don't really need to draw more attention to this. And they should have just let it blow over and just said, you know what, we stand with our, we're celebrating Pride. We're celebrating Pride. We love our gay employees and our gay customers and this operator bundle is not actually harming anybody. Nickmercs' statement isn't actually, I think, doing any real harm to anybody. If anything, it's just adding to the conversation. And that's the most important thing, just to continue to be able to talk about these issues, have the conversation, debate, discuss, have a civil debate where all voices are heard, and it doesn't turn into fistfight brawls. And we're able to look at things and look at people with nuance, try to figure out what they actually mean, and then the really dangerous assholes who are saying really hateful things, we can focus our ire on them. Tough conversation to have, I know, and a lot of people are going to take sides here, and I think that's sort of a mistake because I think it's more complicated than one side or another because we're dealing with this issue of a conflict of rights, of these are the choke points of society, right? These are those points that it's not just so easy to be like, you're wrong, we're right, and then bulldoze over you. You have to say, okay, I see where you're coming from. Here's where I'm coming from. Like, can we find a middle ground? And that's not as sexy, I know. It's much sexier to be like, I'm going to the protest, and then the other side is bad. They're subhuman. They need to be crushed under our boots. Their rights are wrong. Their beliefs are evil, and we must destroy them so that good can prevail. See, this is not how you have a healthy functioning society. You have to find common cause, middle grounds. You have to have empathy for the other side. You have to say, you know what, I see where you're coming from here. Can we find a way to make this work for everybody? Can we make this school safe for all of our students? Can we a welcoming place for students from gay families and straight families, from liberal families and conservative families? Can we find ways that parents have some control and some agency, that they can opt out of certain things maybe? Can we do that? I don't know. Maybe I am actually just too much of an idealist, and that's crazy, but that's where I believe we need to take these conversations, rather than into the realm of like, you're an evil bigot or you're a sinner, we should kill each other. That shit is just, that's the end. That's where we get into a very, very dark place for everybody. All right. Thanks for watching. Sorry I've been a little MIA lately. I've been just dealing with some health issues, ongoing health issues, and that's not really fun. So very distracting and time consuming for me. But I am trying to get back into the swing of things. So bear with me. Peace.